Let's check out Mr. Legal Mindset's video on Johnny Somali's. His trial date is actually today. We're just going to watch this recap that he has, but his trial date is today. He's Legal Mindset's actually streaming right now if you want to go check him out. But yeah, here we go.
Trial of Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, is tomorrow, Wednesday, the 13th, in Seoul, South Korea. And it is going to be wild. This is going to be the craziest day, the most unpredictable day of the entire trial series, which has really been going on for a half a year now, with the criminal saga stretching back into really October, November of last year. So we're gearing up for that. So today's episode, we're going to preview you in this Fast Facts version with the important things you need to know for trial tomorrow, and what we think is going to be wild and unpredictable, and the questions we have for that trial tomorrow as we watch on my channel the play-by-play. My channel will be the only place that is giving live updates from the courtroom, giving you a play-by-play of what is happening and going down in the courtroom tomorrow.
We don't know what the
At,
judge is going to say or do
1:30,
yet,
we're going to start
because
1:15,
it's still
1:30.
ongoing,
Bangkok
but
time.
yeah, we'll see.
In Korea, that's going to start probably about, what is that, about 3:30, almost 4. So about that time tomorrow. So make sure you check that out on
Right,
my
everything
channel
is
and watch
still
the
up in the
live.
air.
Now,
I mean,
let's get into
right,
what's going with the
he can make some
pre-trial
guesses,
update.
but
So,
yeah,
of
it's still
course,
up in the air
we've
because
got a
it could
nice
go
PowerPoint
anywhere.
for you here. So what's going to happen? Tomorrow, the trial is at 4 p.m. Korea time in the Western District Courthouse of Seoul. Now, I know for many of you, that's the middle of the night. If you're in the United States, if you're in, North America, South America, that may be really, really late at night for you. However, that's the time that fit best with the schedule of the court and also fit best with the witness. So we'll see what goes on there. Now, we have no idea how long this trial will go. It could go for 30 minutes. It could go for an hour, 2 hours. We have absolutely no idea. It will go until it's done. Now, we have a total of 8 criminal counts against Ramzi. We have no idea if more will be added in the future. As of date, that's what we have, 8. There could be more that are added in the future. There could be a separate case open for him for anything new. We don't know as of yet. Now, this is really going to come to a head
I should
at
probably.
trial on August 13th. So tomorrow, everything is going to kind of come to a head. Now we have a new indictment we're going to deal with. So the new criminal charge, the new obstruction of business charge. That's the 4th charge. We're going to go through those in a second. And we're also going to have the witness testimony of Bong Bong, which has been confirmed as the witness that is
that's the person that got the
tomorrow. She's been traveling the world.
fake
She finally ended up back in Seoul. That's
stuff.
not a coincidence. She hired a lawyer for this. So she is being prepared for this role tomorrow as a witness. And this is going to be the most
basically
court date. Absolutely
Ramzi Khalid Ismail
so
fucking made deep fakes on her.
Some of you may be new, some of you may
and
not be
well,
that
wasn't very nice.
Here are the current charges we have against Johnny Somali. We have 4 counts of obstruction of business, 2 counts of offending the Minor Offenses Act, and 2 deepfake counts. He has pled guilty to 2 of the obstruction counts and 2 of the Minor Offenses Act. He has pled not guilty to 1 of the obstruction and 2 of the deepfakes. We do not know. We'll figure out tomorrow how he pleads on the new obstruction.
Well,
and also,
let me take a screenshot.
There's a lot of speculation
this is a
that
nice
this was
chart.
Also Lotte World, or it was another bus incident, or whatever. We don't know. We're going to figure that out. We're going to figure that out in the court tomorrow on my stream. We're going to figure that live together. So we're all going to get that information together live. Also, how he pleads this. Is he going to fight this out not guilty? Remember, anything he pleads not guilty to here, let's say he pleads not guilty to this.
Yeah, he would have to show evidence for that stuff, right?
In September. So he's going to have to come back in September.
The stuff that he's guilty on, that's like he
this
defaulted
month.
himself,
There's going to be
basically.
other court dates. But if he pleads not guilty, that may just extend it out. It may go even longer. This case may stretch out even longer than we would expect. Currently, we do have a prediction after speaking with various folks on the SCT. We have a general prediction on when the sentencing day may be, if it goes how it goes. But right now, this is what we're looking at. Not guilty, on one obstruction and two deepfakes and guilty on the others. I would expect he might plead not guilty on this, but we will see because he's already pled not guilty to one. So why not try another? We will see what he does with that one. Now, what is he facing? What is he looking at? We've talked about the sentencing chart. Look at the bottom here. This is just the calculations we did based on the Korean sentencing guidelines. But he's facing anywhere from, at minimum 9 months, which we think is highly unlikely, but of course it could happen,
Mhm.
all the way up to 12 years as the aggravated maximum. So anywhere from 9 months to 12 years, a significant period of time. Of course, the judge does have discretion. The judge could decide to sentence him lightly, to sentence him under the guidelines. But this is what the guidelines would dictate if he is found guilty of all crimes, which is
I
currently
wonder
what
if
we
it would
expect.
be
We currently expect,
possible for. What
even
if
if he
they
pleads
just
not guilty
got
here,
rid
that
of
ultimately he'll be found guilty.
the
So,
obstructions and
based
just
on
gave him
that,
the deep
this is
fakes?
the prediction. Now, of course, if he's found not guilty on any counts, which would be very rare because Korean courts do not like split decisions, then we would obviously have to revise this chart, right? Obviously, have to revise that down. So, what's the new information we have? What do I have to tell you guys before tomorrow? Well, we have a new interpreter for Ramsey, and this is really good news. So,
I mean,
while
but he's
the
already
old
said
interpreter
guilty
was
on some of
really
the deep
good
fakes.
at
I mean, not
translating
deep fakes,
English to Korean, they were not
the
that great
obstruction of just
at translating
obstruction
Korean to English.
businesses.
And this led to a significant problem last time with the date of the next trial, as well as the plea, whether he pled guilty or not guilty on the obstruction charge. And because of that, and because literally half of Korean media, that is Korean media that speaks Korean, did
Yeah,
not actually
apparently the local
understand it.
news is
We on
on
the
it.
SCT had varying reports from different people about what he pled. Because of that, they may have issued
The
a new interpreter,
Korean
said, hey, we're
news
going to
is
get somebody
talking
who's going to
about
be able
it.
to do this with a little higher level of
He's the
confidence.
talk of the
So that
new
interpreter
town.
is there. Once again, they just interpret. They're not a lawyer. All they're supposed to do is translate from the judge to Ramsey and Ramsey to the judge. And mind you, Ramsey will not have much to say other than he is going to have to update his address. And we talked about this when talking about the Hank episode where Hank had said he's not living with me anymore. He hinted at that.
I'm
He's got to
sorry I
update
had
it.
to do
If he doesn't update it with the court, he's either lying, which is contempt of court, or ultimately all of that was a ruse and he's still with Hank all along. So we'll see what happens there. There's also the petition for severe punishment. Now we have confirmed that both the petition for severe punishment, which was filed a while ago, we talked about that on the channel, which is pretty much a petition for maximum punishment, saying give this guy the max. And also the first deepfake, we
he
confirmed
should
that
get the
those
max.
Youngman, the Korean streamer, he's the one who both
Yeah, make
filed the
him work
petition
on the
and
farm.
the deepfake charge. So he's going to be also kind of subject to this, and there's going to be information that's coming in from him on that
he should work on
related
the
to
farm.
deepfake number
It'll do
one,
him some good
as well as this
right, some
petition. Now
good
we're not
labor.
going to get into the details of
He
that
can
on
help
this
the
court date.
government.
We don't think this particular court date, but it's good that we've confirmed that information through our contacts, the SCT's contacts in Korea. Bong Bong has hired a lawyer to represent her as a victim, so we think she's highly invested and won't no-show. I think one of the big things for the Somali team was they were hoping that Bong Bong would no-show, that she'd disappear, she'd run away, but she's hired a lawyer. She's been traveling around the world, and all
Oh,
of a
if
sudden
she's
she's
hired a
streaming again
lawyer,
in
oh yeah,
Hongdae. She's back in
no,
Seoul.
that means she's
All
she's
signs point
lawyered
to the
up.
fact that Bong Bong will indeed show up tomorrow. She's not going to run
I'm
away.
pretty
She's going
sure
to be there.
whenever you lawyer
So
up,
she's
I'm pretty
highly
sure
invested as a
you mean to
witness and
go
not
all the
going to
way.
no-show.
Come on.
We do have questions though, and these are very, very
unless
important questions.
the person gives
And
you
these
a
are perhaps
settlement you
what makes
can't
tomorrow the
refuse or
most
some shit, right?
dramatic day. We have no idea how Bong Bong will do as a witness. Hopefully, she comes in dressed, dressed respectfully, etc., with the court, and hopefully she stays calm under fire. But we don't know whether she will answer questions well or not. Like, I have no clue. We really don't know how that will go. We also, and this is a massive one, don't know how Ramsey's lawyer will question Bong Bong. So one of the things that happened is Somali's people, the quote unquote SIA, or as we call them, the Somali Stupidity Agency, those guys actually came up with this dossier, this big
Uh-oh.
packet of information and questions
Uh-oh.
to give to Ramsey's lawyer to question Bong Bong. What we don't know is
We got a
which of
fake
these
dossier.
questions do they
Uh-oh.
ask and not ask. Now, some of these questions
Well, I
they
mean,
may bring up.
it's not
Some of these
really a fake
questions they may
dossier,
not.
but
Stuff
it's a
like, do they
dossier of
push
just
her about,
retardedness.
her streaming activities or about laughing or about other stuff? We don't know which questions they're going to ask or not. Ramsey's lawyer could cross-examine Bong Bong for 2 minutes or 1 minute, or could cross-examine her for 2 hours. That's what's going to be wild to know. So we could have a very long day if Ramsey's lawyer decides to really go in on Bong Bong, really go in on her past. We don't know that. And obviously there are pros and cons to that. If you go in on a person who is perceived as a victim, that is usually not taken well, right? If you usually go hard on somebody who is
Pretty
a
much.
victim and you're essentially bullying them on the stand,
Well, I mean,
that may not be perceived well by the
I
judge.
guess
That may
yeah, I mean for America it's a little bit different, especially when you have right sometimes the victim is unreliable, right?
not go down very well.
They
It also
don't
may
they
not
don't
look
give you
good
the
for Ramsey
story
because the
straight, and it's
answers that
just like
Bongbong
what
gives
why?
may ultimately make Ramsey look
I
bad.
mean,
So
right,
we really
Amber
don't know
Heard.
about that, and that's
Fuck
really the
you,
wildest thing that we're
that
going to see
dumb
tomorrow
bitch.
is the
Yeah, I mean,
Bongbong
look,
testimony. We also don't know
she
who
should
filed
look,
the
she
new
should
obstruction
be
charge.
fine.
Which is that? Is it
I mean,
Lotte World
it seems
again?
like it
Is
was
it a
her,
bus?
right?
Is it a
She
subway?
was
Is
in
it
the deep
somewhere else?
fakes,
We
right?
don't know. We're going to figure that out tomorrow, and I'm very excited for that, as well as figuring out how does Ramsey plead for the new charge. I tend to believe he might plead not guilty because he's already got to argue one, but so he might go not guilty. However, I will say this is a big moment for Ramsey. Today, or rather tomorrow, when it comes to tomorrow, is probably the last chance Ramsey has to just say, I plead guilty to everything. I'm so sorry. I throw myself at the mercy of the court. If he's going to do
Well, I
that,
don't think he's gonna do
this
that.
is the day for him to do that.
Given his fucking
If he
behavior
fails
up
to do
until
that
now, no,
tomorrow,
there's no,
he's pretty much
there's
going to
no
have to
way.
fight all the way through. It's pretty much going to be what happens in
Just
September or
given the
October,
type of
etc.
person he's already
And
set
it's not going to
himself
look good
out
for
to be,
him
there's
because
no way.
they've got the evidence, they can
And
prove it, and once again, the
he's
conviction
probably
rate
gonna keep
in
going.
Korean courts is over 95%. And some of the
Well,
top
then again,
prosecutors have worked on his
didn't Hank
case,
like
building up the case
fucking leave
file.
too?
So they've got
Didn't
ample
like Hank
evidence.
kick him
These
out?
crimes are very straightforward and they don't go
I guess
into
I don't know.
intent.
It could
One
change,
of the
right?
big
Who
things
knows?
that Somali
We'll
is
see.
banking on and
Yeah,
what
it
his
could go
whole,
anyway today.
strategy has been is, oh, well, I didn't intend it this way or it's just a prank, bro. But none of these
Just a prank,
crimes
bro. It's
turn
just a
on
prank.
intent. It doesn't matter whether
Fuck
you
you.
intended to or not. Did you disrupt the business? Yes, it's obstruction of business. Did you publish the deepfake, put it out there, show it on your stream? Yes, you're guilty. It doesn't matter what you intended. It doesn't matter if you intended it as a joke or whatever. That's all irrelevant. It doesn't matter if she
Yeah.
did something
Also,
bad too.
also
Even if Bongbong
for
was a
yeah,
bad
in
person,
the
which I'm not
Asian
saying she
court
is, but even if
system,
she
they
is,
have a
that doesn't make
more.
you innocent.
They're more
And
on the
that's been a
matter
core
of
of their defense,
fact
which is
type of
just
way
simply
about
not going to
doing
work. And they're
things.
going to see that. They're
Right?
going to very
You're
much see
caught
that
red.
as the
Right? You're
process goes
caught
on. So Ramsey
red-handed,
has a
basically.
chance to throw himself
Right?
at the mercy of the court.
We
And
see
you know
you with
what?
these
It
things in
could
your
happen. We
fucking
don't know. It could
possession.
be a 360. We
You
haven't really
sent
heard
these
from
into
Ramsey, so he could
into
emerge from this cocoon
right onto the
and
internet.
try to be a different
This is
person.
you, is it
We don't
not,
know that
doing
yet,
this?
so we have to see that. We also don't know who shows up in the courtroom. I do imagine it'll be packed. Last time it was packed, I imagine it'll be packed again. We don't know who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, so we will see tomorrow who is indeed in that courtroom. The last thing, and going past this beautiful picture of Ramsey, is we do have some predictions. The next hearing will likely address any of the other not guilty pleas, the obstructions, and closing arguments unless new charges are added. And at this point, we do not have any information about new charges that are coming in imminently, meaning coming in within the next month. There may be other stuff that comes in down the line, particularly if he's sentenced. There may be something that comes in while he's sentenced. That's possible. However, we don't know anything that's going to come down the line just now. Whether there's another obstruction charge, or Minor Crimes Act, et cetera, we have no idea about that. And the next time he comes out is really going to be his chance to speak. So he, at the next hearing, assuming everything goes as normal in September, which likely the next hearing will be in September, that's going to be Ramsey's chance to speak, his chance to open his mouth, give his side of the story, tell what he's going to tell. So he's got
Drop the
less than 30
N-word.
days, or,
I'm
31,
sorry.
32 days to figure out what his
Drop
story is
the
going to be,
nuke
what
at
his
him.
side is going to be. Is he going to be apologetic at all? Is he just going to
I
say, I
say
didn't
just
do
drop
anything,
the
it's a
fucking
prank? Is he
nuke
going to
on
say,
him.
F you to the court? We have no idea what he's going to do. He's really an unpredictable element at this point. And beyond
Yeah, I
that,
mean, yeah, he
if
is
the next hearing, if
unpredictable.
there's nothing else added, there could be as little as 2 or 3 weeks until sentencing. So we could see a hearing in September, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, we could have sentencing, and this trial could be over in October. It is possible that the trial could be completely over and concluded in October,
I want to
and we
see.
could see an
Dude,
end
I
to the
want to
Ramsey
see the
Khalid Ismail saga.
crazy
I wonder what you guys
leaps
think
he's
about
going
that.
to.
Would you be sad
Please,
if it ends in October?
please.
You want it to go longer?
This
Let me know
has
in the
to
comments
go.
below. I'll catch you on the next.
This
Are you guys enjoying the stream
this
today?
has to go on. I want to see the crazy leaps he's gonna fucking make, man. I want to see it. All right, there you have it. And there's a legal mindset. If you want to give them follow, subscribe, like, right, comment, whatever it is. There you have it. Yeah, I mean, since we're here, why don't we watch the Hank one too, just to see what happened to Hank. I mean, I think I got the gist of it, but well, let's just check it out.
Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, may be losing his top ally in Hank Yu. We're going to talk about it today in this fast facts version. This is the legal mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney who's been following the Ramzi Khalid Ismail case from beginning to end. And this is a kind of weird chapter that we now have where it seems like the Hank Yu saga, the Hank Yu story, is really going to come to an end. This is really the final chapter, it looks like, for Hank Yu. Now, of course, the Johnny Somali legal saga is not over. It won't be over for some time. But based on a recent interview with K Town Social Club, it really appears
Oh,
that there
okay.
is a
So, oh yeah, yeah.
separation
So he went
happening
on.
here. A
Yeah, he
rift
went.
has
It was like a
happened,
what, a
and it
twenty
may
minute
be the end
interview,
of
30
really the
minute interview, something like
relevance
that.
of Hank Yu. We're going to get on that in the today
Oh,
on this
actually,
Fast Facts
no.
version. Of
Is
course, if
I
you
think
like
I
the
saw it
Fast
from
Facts
15
versions of my
minutes.
streams, make sure to like the
Of sh
video
of
and let me
shame.
know in the comments below.
I think I saw his.
So, of
I
course, I've got
saw his.
a great
I didn't watch his
PowerPoint here
video.
for you guys
I saw
today
it on
talking
YouTube, but
about
I
this
didn't like watch
final
it.
chapter. And with this, in this final chapter with Hank, we had this interview that was conducted in person between a member of the K-Town Social Club, which had originally interviewed him, and of course, Hank Hanjong Yu. Now, this is interesting because there were
This is
many
where he
questions that
talks
were
about
asked.
his
There were many things that
situation
came
with
up. It was a very
Somali, right?
long interview. And I want you guys to, of
Mr.
course, check out
Ramsey
the full
Khalid
length
Ishmael.
version. If you're interested, it's in the comments below in the description. If you like the channel, if you like the way it was handled, which I must say was very professionally, very neutrally. I have a lot of respect for the interviewer because he was able to kind of sit through that with a straight face and kind of a calm demeanor and get through that. So I have a lot of respect for that on a professional level. So if you guys want to check that out, once again, description below. And of course, if you like it, you can subscribe to their channel. Now, this went down, I believe, a week or two ago and was just released a couple days ago. And everybody was sending this to me to comment on. Of course, there's a lot of stuff in here. It's almost 2 hours. But of that, only about 5 minutes of it is legally relevant or really relevant to the case at hand with Johnny Somali at all. Well, one important thing that happened though
If he's gonna
was is
be
that
called
there
as a
were some
witness, maybe.
questions that I submitted to the interviewer. He had asked me privately for some questions, and he didn't say they were my questions. He just asked them like they were regular questions, and when they were asked, they were answered very well. And I'm going
Oh
to talk
wow.
about the reactions there.
Oh,
But
he.
one
Oh,
thing I want to
he
talk
get
about
you
is
gave
what
him
is
answers and
irrelevant
he
because
asked them.
this is
Oh.
something, and I've talked about kind of my coverage and how I'm
Okay.
trying to focus on what's relevant and legal and objective versus what is drama or what is kind of not really going to do anything for the legal case one way or another. So the majority of this interview is irrelevant legally. Now, it may be good cinema, it may be good TV, it may be good drama. That's perfectly fine. And if that's what you like, hey, go check out the full length interview. There's a lot of stuff that you'll probably
I'm
laugh at
sorry,
or enjoy
legal
or whatever
mindset. I'm
else.
gonna speed you up a
But
little bit.
essentially, a lot of the stuff in there, like Hank's long history of mental health issues and diagnoses, his background, his interfamily relationships, debating over his combat prowess and how he is a skilled fighter, according to himself. His time in prison and the many stories from prison, which some of which have very graphic details. And once again, children should probably not watch this interview. It is very adult. And then last is personal history. We'll put quotes around that and the details of his history, including some of his personal life and bedroom life, etc. That's all really irrelevant. And I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to harp on that. Hank tells his own story, and you can listen to it and take it with whatever grain of
Or
salt you want
yeah,
to take
I
that.
would
The only
assume.
legal relevance that I see overall, a lot of this having, other than the few questions that were asked, were that Hank admits much of the speculation about him. So he's asked a lot of questions that are speculative about his past, about his history, his family, and he pretty much confirms what people have been saying online. And that's very interesting because a lot of that stuff is only damaging to his reputation. Not that he had a sterling reputation or a clean reputation beforehand, but his reputation is certainly not improved by this interview. It is certainly only damaged by this interview insofar as he's confirmed things. And another thing it's going to bring up, because he brings up a defamation lawsuit at the end, or at least threatening a defamation lawsuit at the end,
Oh
is
yeah,
by
wasn't I
confessing a
thought
lot of these
isn't
things, he's
legal isn't
removed his
wasn't
ability
he
to claim
still trying to
defamation,
get into
essentially saying, hey, no, these things that
battles
have been
with
said are true.
you? I
So they are
forgot
thus
about
not
that.
defamatory, particularly in jurisdictions like the United States, which the
I don't
majority
know
of
if
the
that's still
streamers
going. I
that
don't
he
think
talks
he's
about,
talked
the
about
proper
it
venue would be the
for a
United States,
while now
would
because
be
well, I
completely
don't know if it's still going.
barring any sort of defamation claim or pulling what
But
he said
if
himself.
he
So
hasn't
let's
talked
get into
about
it.
it in
And
a
I want to
while,
just bring up a
then
couple
there's
things. First of
nothing
all,
of it
he
then.
does bring up his time and people knowing him as quote unquote the Asian Nazi, that sort of these meme photos he says he took. Here's one with the Kekistan flag, all that good stuff. He's got some in the Confederate outfit. So he does say, and this is one thing I'm going to actually agree with Hank on here, is he says all of these photos, the stuff he was doing in Confederate cosplay, etc. He says he doesn't support the Confederates and that he would have supported war crimes against the Confederates, etc. But he says that all this was to troll people online. And you know what? I actually believe him. I actually genuinely believe Hank was just trolling people online. But beyond that, this information about him and his past and his cosplay and whatever else, it really isn't legally relevant. He was never charged with a crime for cosplaying or whatever else or taking photos online. And largely
Mhm.
trolling people online is usually, and I'm putting a little asterisk there, guys, usually, not always. Sometimes trolling goes too far, but usually trolling is not illegal. And usually, trolling is free speech. And actually, as much as Hank may say I don't believe in free speech, I actually do believe in free speech insofar as if you are not breaking a crime, you can troll people online. And I don't care whether you're on the left or on the right or center, or if it's whatever it's about. It could be teasing different, people, whatever. That generally is legal. So this side of it, really, if he says he's trolling and he wasn't convicted of a crime, okay, yeah, sure, Hank. Then it was trolling, and people can take that the way they take that, and how they view you is their own opinion. And of course, many people have bad opinions. Many people don't care about his trolling, but that came up
Yeah,
during the interview.
yeah,
The next thing,
right.
and the next questions that were the
People
questions that are
will take
relevant.
that
Now,
however.
there are several questions that were relevant there, and mainly I'm going to focus on the ones that I asked. So I asked questions related to his money and related to what if Johnny goes to prison. And he answered those questions. So related
Oh,
to the money, of course, and you can see the full response, the full video. If you want to check out my live stream, I play the video. We're going to go through it bit by bit in the live, but I'm just going to summarize it here for the fast facts version. So about money, he's asked, hey, how much money have you spent on Johnny? Like, how much have you spent on him at all? And he actually admitted to spending around or perhaps over $20,000
oh,
USD, 20K USD between
holy
legal
shit!
fees,
That's like a
housing,
new car,
etc., paying for
man.
his attorney,
What the
etc.
fuck?
About 20K USD invested into Johnny Somali. That
God
is a
damn,
lot of money. In fact, for
that's like a
somebody who has not
goddamn
been
new
working
car,
until
dude. What
recently,
the fuck?
he does admit that he just got out of school and now he's tutoring, right, to make some money. But for someone who's not working, that's a lot of money. And certainly if that was coming from someone's family and now their family knows they were spending 20K, that is something that can make them very, very mad. That large investment into another person that wasn't going into Hank. Hank was pretty much fully underwriting that. So that's a lot of
Man, you
money.
could have
That's
gave him
significant. And when I
stocks.
saw him answering these questions, in
Shit.
this manner, and you can kind of see this as a screenshot
Man,
of
you
when he
could
was
have
talking
done
about the
so
money,
much with
he
20,000.
actually
What
seems
the
hurt by this. And he
fuck?
seems to realize
Holy
and be bright
shit.
enough to know he's probably never getting that money back. He realizes he's probably never getting that money back. He says he did it on principle because it aligns with his values and beliefs. But on some level, I do believe Hank wants that money back, and he knows that Johnny really isn't going to have the capacity to get that money back. Beyond that, the second question was about prison.
You could have
And what if
gambled with
Johnny
that.
goes
I
to
don't
prison?
know,
Well, he
man. You could have
actually
done so
admitted,
much.
which was huge, that Johnny may indeed go to prison, but he thinks it's for a couple months, not for years and years and years. Well, that's just kind of arguing over semantics. Even Hank Yu, even his top ally, is at this point resigned to the fact that Johnny Somali, Ramsey Khalid Ismail, is likely seeing time behind bars in Korea. And that's a big shift because if you caught the earlier interviews, the earlier statements by Hank, remember, this is his top ally, you would say, and he describes himself as one of Johnny's best friends now. And if his best friend now is admitting to the fact that he will probably see some time in a Korean prison, that's a huge shift. That's a massive shift. That is huge. So I think that's a big one. The other big one is that he admitted that he indeed is now potentially not housing Johnny Somali. So he said Johnny is perhaps somewhere else. He admitted,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Johnny's
So
not
he.
with me anymore. He's somewhere
Oh,
else, but I'm
okay.
not going to
So
tell you
he's
where he is.
finally kicked him
Right.
out.
And it's mentioned a Goshiwon, which is a very small room, kind of a very tiny room in Korea. He's saying, mention, oh, he might be in a Goshiwon, again. And that's what the host brings up. And he responds, yeah, that's probably where he is, kind of hinting at, yeah, that's probably what's going on. So, yeah, he's probably in some off-site area. I would believe that. But here's the legal relevance. The case is coming up in 1 week. If he indeed has moved, he needs to update his address. As far as we know,
Yeah.
as of date, he is
So okay. So that make now okay now that we know yeah, I thought, yeah, because Johnny Somali was right, he was living with Hank, and then Hank, I guess for whatever reason, right, kicked him out, and then now he during the court trial he kind of has to update his information. So it's like, oh, so where are you staying, buddy? So where are you staying, man?
not update his address with the court. So perhaps he forgot. Perhaps the lawyer hasn't gotten around to it. Perhaps he'll
Uh-oh.
watch this fast facts and actually do that. But
Uh-oh.
legally, he is required to update that. If he has not updated that and he has moved and he comes to court and lies, that's contempt of court. And that would be very severe for Somali if he is misrepresenting where he is staying and he's in fact staying somewhere else. That would be a big, big problem for Somali. So if Somali has actually moved physically and is no longer residing with Hank, that does need to be reported to the court. So that's a big deal. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Beyond that, let's move into talking
Were
about
you
defamation. Now, Hank, of
trying to
course, brought me up at the end, and I
lie?
was kind of thrown off. I'm like, whoa, you bring up legal mindset at the end. In talking about defamation and bring up defamation. So Hank confirms that he wants to sue for defamation. Now, he specifically mentions me, or rather, the host brings me up. But the truth is, and I've actually seen some proof of this, that he wants to sue several people. He wants to sue Atozi, me, 15 Minutes, the Korean streamers. And while the Korean streamers are a little bit of a different case
Basically,
because
he
they're in
wants to
Korea and Korean law will
sue
clearly
most
apply.
of
They'll
the
be, they'll be
content
served,
creators
etc.
who've been
For
covering
Atozi,
the
myself, 50 Minutes, a lot
ordeal,
of people who've
right?
been covering this, he wants to sue what Asmongold or whatever else, anybody who's covered this on the internet. It's going to
Yeah.
be very, very difficult. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about those
isn't that
challenges. But
going to be
when he
hard?
talked about
Because he.
defamation, and once again, I've got the full clip in my life, he admits his pure motivation is money. It's just money. It's not actually he feels bad about it. He laughs about it. He thinks it's a joke. He actually isn't deeply hurt about this at all. And he claims to believe in free speech, but he doesn't understand the concept. The concept of free speech is the ability to report on facts. And that's just the way it is. And just
Yeah.
because he wants money doesn't mean you can sue somebody. Plenty of people want money. If you could just sue people whose money you want
I
and
wish I
get
could
that
sue
money, well,
everybody
then
I
they would do
fucking
it.
hated,
It's
right?
not that easy. It's not that simple. So at the end of the day, he's going to have a hard time collecting from anybody, myself included. And I can say he's not going to get a single won, baht, or US dollar off of me. It's going to be very difficult for that. Now, expanding upon previous defenses, which I mentioned in other videos, there are other things that would cause a defamation lawsuit against myself, Atozi, anybody else to fail. The first is the impossibility or impracticability procedurally. So here's the thing. There's something called standing. That's the ability to bring a claim. He's going to have a real big issue in multiple jurisdictions with standing. It's very odd because he may not even have standing to bring a claim in the United States. He might be able to bring it by hiring an attorney in a particular jurisdiction where the defendants would reside, maybe, but maybe not, right? They could contest that and say, no, actually, you don't have standing to bring that. And in other jurisdictions, like other countries, he certainly might not even have standing at all. The only place he clearly can sue is South Korea. But let's just use myself as an example. While I used to live in South Korea, I no longer reside in South Korea. Therefore, suing in South Korea would be entirely inappropriate because, well, they wouldn't even be able to serve me with process because I'm not in South Korea. And even if you were able to get a Korean sued and somehow try to serve it abroad, et cetera, the venue would be improper. So they would just make a motion to change the venue, and they would lose that, and Hank would lose that, and it would all be done procedurally. The other thing is, most of the streamers, let's use Atozi in 15 Minutes, for example, they're in the United States, and we have something called anti-slap. Now, Hank claims to know about free speech, but I'm going to educate him on free speech as it's applied in law. The anti-slap, or laws against strategic lawsuits against public participation, that is, lawsuits just to shut people up, even though they're actually speaking facts, those
Yeah.
are so intimately tied to free speech. They were adopted on free speech
Didn't
basis.
fucking
You can't
Amber
use
Heard put
lawsuits to
that
shut
in the
people up
UK
from
on,
talking
right,
about
Johnny,
particularly from talking about truthful things.
Johnny Depp?
And not only that, but Hank's a public figure. He's now gone on multiple
Basically.
interviews. He's got YouTube channels. He's involved with Johnny Somali. He is a public figure. So he's held to a higher standard under New York Times versus Sullivan. Therefore, all these anti-slap protections would essentially prevent him from even going to court. It wouldn't even get to a motion to dismiss. In a preliminary motion, it would be blown out of court in the United States.
Or
So
another,
a
better
funny
one,
way for it to
Alex
go, and an entire
Jones.
waste of Hank's money. Although at this point, if he's wasted 20K in
the
legal fees,
fucking
I mean,
Sandy Hook shit.
what's another 20K, right? I mean, there you go.
They fucking went
Beyond
on
that,
that
the
fucking
things
witch
that have
hunt
been
on him.
reported on by everybody, myself included, have all been factual and confirmed by Hank. In fact, he confirmed them in this interview. And in American law, at least, the truth is a defense. And in other jurisdictions, even in Korea, there is a public reporting or a public interest exception. And clearly, the reporting under this would fall under public interest since it's related to Johnny Somali, since all of it has been adjacent to the criminal behavior of Johnny Somali. The other thing is you need to have damages. So to bring a claim in America or pretty much any jurisdiction, you're going to need damages. What money did he lose? He wasn't making any money.
Yeah, he wasn't making
his
any.
family, mom, whatever, was giving him money.
Is he gonna make
So
up
he didn't have
damages?
anything that was lost because of that.
He's gonna pull it out of his asshole.
Good reputation, or at least a neutral reputation, in order to be damaged. But at this point, it's very clear. And speaking to people in Korea, Korean lawyers, if you have a bad reputation, there's no reputation to be damaged. Even in Korea, that would be thrown out because of his own reputation. And at the end of the day, nobody, myself included, Atozi, anybody else, has been served with a lawsuit by Hank. So there's no lawsuit in existence. And because of that, I just don't see this going anywhere or seeing anything. That's why I think this is indeed the final chapter for Hank.
Now, okay, so he lied about everything, basically.
Well, the conclusion is that to date, to our knowledge, the Somali conviction team, the rest of us, Hank has not been indicted of a crime in Korea. We don't know of him being indicted of anything. We would
all
probably
air
know
and
by
no
now.
bite.
And he hasn't been. And Hank appears to be trying to separate from Somalia and planning an exit. In the interview, he talks about going to China to study mechanical engineering in July of 2026. Now, I would note that based on his US felony, China might give him some trouble with his visa because China tends not to like felonies on their visa application. So that might be a little difficult. But perhaps he pulls some strings or whatever, greases the wheels or whatever else and gets in. But that might be an issue. The other
Grease the
thing is that Ramsey owes
palms.
Hank over 20K USD, which is probably causing a rift between the two. And I'm not one to sit here and get in between these two people as they separate and try to put them back together. I mean, I think that is a significant concern. I think a real friend would pay another friend back. I think if they were owed money, they would pay it back. And I think that we might be seeing, because Ramsey has allegedly moved out. He's saying he's moved out, and Hank sounds like he's moving on. It sounds like the two might be a little bit over. Like it might be starting to break up. There might be a rift in the family. So going forward on my channel, on this channel, unless Hank is criminally indicted in Korea or
Oh
anywhere else,
shit.
or he serves as an official witness, to me, he's irrelevant legally. And therefore, going forward from today on, I'm really not going to report on Hank except for as it relates to the lawsuit. I think it's a distraction. I think it's mostly drama. And once again, on my channel, I'm trying to be objective, focusing on the law, and not just in on the side stuff. But I want to know what you guys think below. What do you think about the Hank saga? What do you think it contributed to the Somali story? I'll catch you.
Suffer,
Are you guys
Hank.
enjoying the stream today?
Suffer. Slap. Sucks, motherfucker. Fuck around and find out, yeah? There you have it. So, yeah, there it is. Legal Mindset if you want to check him out. He also has other stuff, as usual. Give him like, subscribe, yeah. Thanks for watching.